What's good, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new episode discussions video for My Hero Academia. Told you guys when season 4 started that I would of course be doing another episode discussion because this is Hero Walker, man. There's always so much juicy information in this show that I can never resist myself. My creative juices are always flowing when the show's on. And funny enough, the episode discussion I did for season 3 was also episode 9. So when we get to the Endeavor Redemption arc in season 5, episode 9 will probably also get an episode discussion. But anyway, so the topic of this video will be, of course, on heroes and the different types of heroes and what it means to be a hero for different people that we have seen in Hero Waka. Now, I've actually got the idea for this video once again from my man Chibi Reviews, as he mentioned in his review.
Now, when it comes to the main theme of the story, there's always been many kind of ways to present what necessarily makes up a hero. Is a hero someone that is strong? Is a hero someone that can inspire those and make those continue to want to do good? Is a hero someone that just saves the day no matter how the odds are stacked against him? For instance, Bakugo and Izuku, this was something that was kind of displayed at the end of, season 3. With Bakugo and Izuku, they kind of had, disputes on how they viewed what a hero really meant. Izuku was someone that wanted to save, while Bakugo was someone that wanted to kind of fight. He was someone that wanted to basically say, oh, I'm a hero, I could take on 3v1 and win and all that. That's what, he really took from All Might, what he loved. And you can see from Kirishima, he's someone that was inspired by a different hero, but fundamentally it's the same. He was someone that took the fundamentals of what Crimson Riot said to heart, and he wants to utilize it to actually become the hero he wants to be. He wanted to be someone that was manly, someone that was chivalrous, someone that would not turn away from no matter what he faces, etc.
But when, it came time for Kirishima to show his true colors, to put his money where his mouth is, that's when he froze. He just stood there like a statue. And Mina came in there and saved the day, which is what we're going to be talking about in this video. That will be the primary topic of discussion here, is going to be the parallels between Izuku and Kirishima. More specifically, madness versus regret in terms of heroes. Now, madness is something that we have recently gotten to know of from Season 4, as of course what All Might and Izuku to an extent also both suffer from, having this madness of no matter how beat up they are, they always come back to continue the fight. All Might, we saw this, well, we haven't seen it yet, but we heard it from All For One back in, I'm pretty sure this was around the midpoint Season 3. He mentioned how he has nightmares of All Might charging towards him with his intestines hanging out, his fucking intestines hanging out. And of course with Izuku, he was Naruto running with 2 busted arms after he fought off against Muscular. The man still kept going on and on and on. And when it comes to comic books, that is very true in that realm too, with 3 in particular. Captain America, Superman, and of course, the GOAT, Spider-Man. Captain America, we all know Cap. He is, of course, the American dream, fight with what you believe in, all that stuff. And of course, we all know his trademark line.
I could do this all day.
With Superman, he has always been regarded as a symbol of hope. Of course, the biggest example of that being the S on his chest is it means hope on Krypton. And with Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, we know the guy is just batshit insane. No matter how much his life fucking sucks, at even given point, no matter how much the Parker's luck has screwed him, he always somehow finds the will to get right back up. We see this in video games, comics, and movies of Peter just getting to beat the shit out of him, but somehow, someway, he always finds a way to get right back up. But eventually, in all 3 of these cases, death eventually caught up to him. And of course, this would have probably most likely happened to All Might as well, who was definitely probably the king of madness. As I mentioned before, with All For One, he said All Might was charging at him. He has nightmares of All Might charging at him with his intestines hanging out, for Christ's sake. How the man didn't die from blood loss is a miracle in and of itself. And of course, he almost found in Season 4 that All Might had feeling that probably his fight with All For One in Season 3 was going to be his fate, because we know he was supposed to die an unspeakably gruesome death. So, and he thought that was where he was going to die. He was just going to accept this fate with All For One and just accept death. But of course, thanks to Izuku and all, as well as that woman that was stuck in the rubble, he decided to live on, and what he's doing now, living to try and get Izuku up and running with One For All. Now let's move on to regret, which is of course what Kirishima's main driving force is. With him, it was obviously, of course, him failing and not just standing there when those two girls were in trouble, and he just stood there and did nothing. He, of course, rethinked over his life. Did he even really want to be here? He thought he considered himself not even a man, yada yada yada, etc. But of course, after he listened to that clip, that interview, I should say, from his All Might, Crimson Right, telling him that what drives him is the regret of him not being able to save that person back when he was a sidekick, and the fear of seeing that look in their eyes again, that look of death, that look of defeat, that look of you failed to save me and now I'm going to die. That is what drives him to never see that look ever again. And there's no group of superheroes where regret is like that unwanted uncle that nobody likes, but you can never seem to get rid of him, than the Spider family, or the Spider Totem, or just the different Spider people in the Marvel Universe. With, of course, some of the big examples being Spider-Gwen, Miles, and Spidey, and Peter Parker. Spider-Gwen, as we know from Into the Spider-Verse, and if you guys read her comics, that what drives her is the regret of the death of her best friend, Peter Parker of that universe, who became the Lizard. Miles Morales, we know what drives him. It was, of course, the death of Peter Parker. Him having the abilities, the powers to possibly help Peter out, and maybe even keep him living in the Ultimate Universe. But he didn't. He just stood there, and thereby Peter in that universe died, which of course drove him to become the Spider-Man of that universe. Now we get to Peter, which is when things get interesting. Because with Peter, if you were someone that is really just stuck to the movies, we all know, full and well, of what drives Peter. Of course, the death of his Uncle Ben, and the regret he felt from letting that crook go just to prove a point.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
Not my policy.
But if you are someone who has read the comics, or hell, you're just well versed in Spider-Man lore, like your boy, you know that there is an event that we can probably unanimously agree on that Peter regrets far more than the death of his Uncle Ben, that has been called Peter's greatest failure. The death of his first love, Gwen Stacy. As we know from this event, the comics, that Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, kidnapped Gwen and threw her off the Brooklyn Bridge, I believe it was, and Peter tried to stop her. By that, he fired off a web at her leg, which from the whiplash effect snapped her neck. And that event went down as Peter's greatest failure. And now, death is something that is never permanent in comics. Like, a character that dies will always eventually come back. But Gwen and Uncle Ben, these two have remained dead, at least in their universe, at least in the main, 616 universe. They both of them have remained dead. They have not been brought back in any shape or form, as far as I know. Now, why is that? It's because that if these two were brought back, like say Uncle Ben was finally brought back in the comic, or Gwen, a lot of what has made Spider-Man was made Peter Parker. A lot of what drives him to be Spider-Man would be gone. If Uncle Ben was back, what more reason would Peter have to still be Spidey? What more reason would he have to do that? If Gwen was back, what would Peter do? That would get rid of a lot of the drive he still has for being Spider-Man, is because of that moment. A lot of what made Spider-Man comes from the death of those two. And if they were to just suddenly be brought back willy-nilly, that would kind of compromise a lot of what's made Spidey in decades of character development. But, if my theory is correct, it looks like Peter's greatest failure is coming back to collect. And that, my friends, is the beauty of superheroes in comics.
I'm where I am now because when I was a sidekick, I failed to save someone in peril.
I heard about that, but it wasn't your fault. With the crime rate as high as it is, there's...
I don't think you understand. That day I hesitated, and somebody lost their life because my spirit was weak. Yes, I'm frightened when I fight a villain, knowing it could end in my death. But there's something I fear more. The look on someone's face as they die. That's far worse. It's the fear of seeing that look again that drives me.
So tell me down below, guys, what you guys thought of this. And I gotta just talk about Horikoshi's writing real quick. Season 4 has been such an amazing, not just because, it's just been hyped with stuff like Overhaul, but just Horikoshi's writing in general. We've seen a lot of him add a lot more nuances, complexities, and just added depth to a lot of the characters. I mean, last week with Tamaki, we had villains using the power of friendship. Like, I'm shocked someone hasn't done that before. Like, legitimately, villains using the power of friendship, the most overused tool in fairy tale. I mean, you got that. Of course, there's all the stuff about the different UA students and why they become heroes. You got guys like Bakugo out there who want to be heroes and view All Might for his strength. About guys that's like, oh, I'm going to be hero and I'm going to always defeat the odds. 10 versus 1, I'm down. 300 versus 1, I'm down. 10,000 versus 1, I'm down. Bakugo's always willing to have the odds stacked against him and always come out on top. We know that him. Bakugo's just like an ultimate badass there. You got guys like Izuku, who is all about, who takes the more heroism part of All Might, and that's what drives him. With Izuku always wanting to just save people, and and is driven by madness. No matter how beaten up he gets, he's always going to come out on top and save the day. And then you got guys like Kirishima, who realistically is probably like the most realistic out of everyone, and you could almost make the argument that he is the Spider-Man of the group. With being driven by regret and always living a life with no regrets. Man, I just love this series so much. This season's been so fucking good, man, and I'm definitely hyped to see the rest of it. Looking forward to when I finally get around to doing that Sir Night-Eye video, because I got a lot to say about him, and I got a lot to say about that, and connecting that to the Marvel Universe. That video's gonna be fun to make whenever I get around to finally doing that one. But yeah, guys, so tell me down below what y'all thought of this, and I'm going to end it here. So, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, flag, and links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.